Hi, I'm Chris with Ogaz Enterprises. Back in the late 1990s, we were machining Autococker and Spider paintball bodies. We have a CNC machine shop located here in Ontario, California. It's a family-owned business. My dad started doing machining back when he was in his 30s. So we've been in business since 1981. Got into paintball probably in 1998. Started with Spanky. They actually came to us and wanted to make custom paintball bodies. Person I dealt with at Spanky, his name's Richard. He was local. He's in Ontario and we're in Ontario. We're a machine shop. So he came to us and asked if we wanted to actually machine paintball bodies, if we were able to do it. And we were able to do it.
And did they have a machine shop also?
No, they didn't have any machines or anything. I believe he just had the store. He had a glass company as well, and his son, when he was growing up, he wanted his son to kind of do the paintball business. We started machining their bodies straight from Worr Game Products. Here's like one of the bodies we used to do. Spanky Paintball would bring in a stock body. This is before the Fishbone, where we'd machine it all out and stuff in tubes. This is one of the first bodies we actually made with the side feed Autococker bodies.
You started with the WGP bodies.
Correct. We started with the WGP bodies and machined those to as much as we could machine on a stock body. After we got through machining we were asked if we could actually machine bodies from scratch, from billet stock, and we started doing that. Started making vertical feed bodies and decided it'd be easier to make a threaded feed tube instead of a pressed-in feed tube. So we started doing the threaded feed tubes in the bodies, machine the bodies, all from a billet stock. And we started doing 3D machining, which is what we called it, which we had like a bubble body and a whole bunch of different styles. Here's like something we would make. It was Stars and Stripes body, and this is a body, complete body we made from just a solid piece of billet aluminum. We actually were doing stuff for Spanky Paintball, Mountain View Paintball. This is one of the bodies that actually we made for Mountain View Paintball. Spanky Paintball would actually sell to FBM and some others that I don't even know where they actually sold. We actually had our own line of paintball bodies as well, and they were more like the 3D cut paintball bodies. This is a very rare body. It's a lightning body, and I know there's actually a company now that actually sells lightning, but this is actually a 3D milled body where lightning is actually raised on the body, and it has lightning bolts on the top. And the machining time on something like this is about an hour and a half, as there's no straight edge on this whole entire body. It's just machined with a 1/4 inch ball end mill that actually goes through and machines the whole entire body. And these are one of the threaded feed tubes we make that kind of match the body. We have another one that's called the Death Trap. Same streamlined design, all 3D machined, and actually is milled in Gothic letters, says Death Trap, recessed into the body on this one here. Here's actually a body. It's not polished, not finished. This is just one that's actually just been machined. You can still see the machine marks going all the way across it. This is what it looks like before it's actually polished. It's a complete body. We actually do through sight rail cuts and through body cuts as close to the tubes as we can get without actually interfering with the tubes. Usually we engrave our initials, usually right here, since it's one of ours, usually says TnC Products. TnC actually stands for Tino and Chris. It's actually mine and my father's, and my father's name is Tino. So that's where TnC actually came from, and that was back in 1998, I think. We came up with TnC Products, and we started making our own paintball bodies probably in 2000 with all the bodies that were going through Spanky Paintball and Mountain View Paintball. And also did machining for Jackal Machine. They contacted me, I guess found out through Spanky Paintball that I was making paintball bodies, and they contacted me and wanted me to make bodies for them. I think there was Terry and Jeremy, and I only dealt with Jeremy. That's who I talked to all the time on the phone. Started making custom bodies for them, different back blocks, front blocks, and ASAs and feed tubes, and dealt with them till about early 2004 is probably the last time I actually made anything for Jackal Machine. Pretty much I quit making paintball bodies at that time. I just went on to something different. Paintball seemed to kind of slow down a little bit, so just moved on to the next thing. I can't remember if I sold Jeremy or Jackal Machine blank paintball bodies. We've made so many different bodies, and it was quite a long time ago. I mean, I might have made him some bodies and he did his own machining. I'm pretty sure, if I remember correctly, he did do some of his own machining as well, because it is a machine shop. I'm sure they machined their own bodies as well. We supplied the blanks and then they machined them. to their specs. When I designed this body here, I was thinking of something different. And what I wanted to do is, since it's a paintball gun, I decided I wanted to make it look like there's a bunch of paintballs stuffed in the top row where the bolt goes. And that's how I actually came across with this body. I called it the bubble gun. It just makes it look like there's a bunch of stuffed paintballs right in the top of the body. What we have here is this is actually a bubble gun, and it's actually in bubblegum color. This is actually made for my wife, kind of like a light pink or a bubblegum color. This is the custom 3D body. It doesn't have my name engraved on the side of it, but this is one of the bodies I actually made, and it's actually a grip frame, trigger frame I actually made. It's hard to see underneath the plastic rail, but it's actually a flamed grip trigger frame. So it actually looks kind of nice. Everything here is machined. Actually, nothing was water jet cut. It was all just machined straight from CNC mill and CNC lathes. That's the kind of stuff we actually make here. Here's one of our trigger frames we actually designed. It's just a mechanical trigger frame, but you can actually see it's the flame design that's in the frame itself. So it's something different. You put clear grips on it and you actually can see the flame underneath. Something different than what everybody else had. It looked like it might have been machined for FBM just because it kind of has the FBM circle on it. We didn't sell directly to them. Yeah, this is a Spanky body. You know, they approached us and wanted us to make bodies, and this is actually a Worr Game Product vertical feed body, and this is called a Fishbone. We machined all the way through the body, as you can see, and then tubes actually got put in and actually bonded in place, top and bottom, and that's how these actually got started. Let's see, I have a body here. This is a Gothic body, but same concept. The body's all machined, and there's actually tubes that were machined, and these actually slide in and get glued in place. And same with the top rail where the bolt goes. There's a sleeve that goes in there so no dirt gets in the bolt and while you're playing. But that's actually how these came about. And this was the Gothic body, and actually there's little threaded holes all the way through the whole body, top, side, and what they do is they put spikes. Threaded spikes would actually screw into this whole body, and it actually looked pretty nice once all the spikes, chrome spikes, black spikes. They actually wanted me to do threaded logos that actually went in on the top, and this is from Spanky, and one of their main best sellers was the Warp Monkey. This is something we actually machined from scratch, same billet. Still vertical feed, but it's the threaded vertical feed. This is one of their most popular bodies. We actually made quite a few of these bodies, probably right around 200 plus bodies on these, maybe closer to 500. Like I said, this was one of their best bodies that actually sold. This is one of our basic bodies, but it does have the milled cuts that go through the body and through the sight rail. Polished, deep red anodized, and after anodizing, what we do is we come back and do the machine cuts. And this is like a teardrop body. So you see our cuts, and it actually has our logo. It says TnC Products. And this is one of the bodies we actually machined after anodizing, which really stands out. This is one of the bodies that I actually polished, and we actually did the machining before anodizing, so this one actually doesn't stand out. We've actually done this both ways. We've actually blank slate, and we do all these machining cuts afterwards, so the letters really stand out. Yeah, this is our machine shop here, where all CNC machines, 6 CNC lathes, 5 CNC mills. This is where we do all the paintball bodies and everything else. All the round turning stuff, all done on these CNC lathes. And then all the bodies themselves are actually made on the mills behind me.
Did you make any bodies that were pre-equipped for any type of electronics? Like for the E-blade, that were drilled for the E-blade?
We did actually machine bodies that were drilled for electronics or for an eye. And we did actually make some of those. Not a lot. That was like towards the end of when I was making paintball bodies. So we didn't really do that many of them. Yeah.
It's cool to see that all of the bodies that you had here actually lacked the eye holes.
Correct.
Yeah. So built just as mechanical guns.
Yes.
And did you machine bodies for any other type of paintball markers?
I actually did machine some spider bodies. I did custom machine from solid billet aluminum. We actually made those for Jackal Machine.
You must have also made them for Spanky and for FBM, because I think there was a Gothic style spider, right?
I might have.
Yeah.
I might have made them for Spanky, not knowing who he sells them to.
Yeah, so you could have made spider bodies for Spanky as well.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Did you ever make any pneumatics?
No, we did not make any pneumatics for any of the guns.
You made trigger frames, and in the trigger frames, what parts would you actually make?
Let's see, on this trigger frame right here, we'd actually make the whole thing. We'd make the frame, the sear, and the trigger itself. So basically we used to make these, and the whole entire thing was made from us, ready to bolt onto a gun and use.
Did you make spider frames at all?
No.
No. So you'd also make barrels. Must have been towards the end when you were making barrels. And did you make any other styles?
This is actually what we started with, a one-piece barrel, and we did it with the flared tip. It actually relieved a lot of the pressure once the ball came out, keep it a little quieter. This is a one piece that we actually made first, and later on we actually started making a two-piece barrel. And the two-piece we actually made different tips for. This is the flared tip, just like the blue one. Basically we'd make straight or basically any design someone wants, because we did a lot of custom stuff. So if someone called up and said they wanted a straight barrel with the holes going around or straight or in an S form, that's what we'd actually do. Make custom tips for people, and we just have a base of the tube.
And they were also bore size, right?
Yeah, and these were actually bore size, and we actually engraved on them. So this one here is 689, and this one here is 691. So yeah, they were bore size, so people can buy the kind of paint that they actually shoot.
Cool. And would you sell these barrel kits to Spanky or to Jackal?
These barrels here, we actually sold some to Spanky, Jackal, and mostly we just sold them on our website. Yeah, the flared ones were actually sold quite a bit back then. Now everything's kind of straight and streamlined, shorter, and that's what everybody seems to be going for nowadays.
You made barrels for autocockers, you made barrels for spiders. Did you make barrels for any other?
No, that was it. When we did our barrels, we actually made them for spiders and autocockers. We didn't make anything for anything else. Mostly everything we did was autococker. Spiders, we made the bodies and some barrels, and that's pretty much about it. So as we were machining the bodies, we figured we got into more of it, make a back block that actually matches the body. So we have the back blocks, front blocks, kind of machine off most of the material to make it as light as possible, but it still functions correctly. So we make a front block, and then we make the ASA, match the same design of the gun, especially the bubble guns, and then the threaded feed tubes. These are all matching. Sometimes you actually get them nickel plated or kind of leave them polished, and so you have a blue gun with a whole bunch of like polished aluminum stuff. People kind of like that look instead. Another thing we actually make for the autocockers is we made Delrin bolts, and you see there's no O-rings in this. It actually was a pretty good fit and not a lot of bypass in the air, and so we made these custom bolts. We also made bolt pins, different style bolt pins for Jackal machines. We had some custom ones for Jackal. We did make some valves. Not too many. Another part that we actually make is the volumizer in the front, so you can actually run a little bit more low pressure. Another thing about all these bodies that were designed for Spanky, we actually bored out the front of the bodies to make a lot more volume of air, and then what we do is we actually put a plug in there. These actually are all made, anything with like that on the front, they're actually all made for low pressure, something like between 200 and 400 psi. They're not really designed to run anything higher pressure than that.
So how many body styles do you think you made?
The amount of body styles we probably designed probably was close to 20, just a whole bunch of different. I mean, I would just sit there and design bodies, go on my CAD and kind of draw stuff up and see what kind of looks nice and machine a body or machine 5. Some of them, they actually might only be 5 of them out there or 2 of them out there from what I designed. I cut one, not quite right, so I'd actually maybe just sell off that one body or 2 bodies and then cut something different. And there's probably about 20 different styles that we actually machined. Some of them we made 200, other ones we might have made only 20 or 25.
Cool. Yeah, I think that's pretty good.
All right.